Today it was all very one-sided. After winning the first two games by 4 wickets apiece, India have romped home by a massive 142 runs, dismissing England for just 214 in 34.2 overs. This after the home side made 356, an imposing total built on the back of a seventh ODI century from Shubman Gill. They made a brilliant 112 from 102 balls. There were runs as well for Virat Kohli, he made 52, Shreyas Iyer 78, and a lusty 40 from KL Rahul. 356, the best of England's bowlers comfortably. Adil Rashid with 4 for 64, bowled some brilliant ripping leg spinners, and Mark Wood, who contained, taking the new ball, striking early to get rid of Rohit Sharma for a single, but finishing with 2 for 45 from 9 overs. Everyone else was expensive and was unable to contain this rampant Indian middle order. England's reply was undermined by their own inability to build on starts. The top five, Phil Salt, Ben Duckett, Tom Banton, Joe Root and Harry Brook, made 23, 34, 38, 24 and 19, all making starts without going on to build anything substantial. And Gus Atkinson had a bit of fun at the end, finishing with 38 from 19 balls. But Akshar Patel took 2 for 22, 2 wickets as well for Arshdeep Singh, Harshit Rana, and a wicket for the brilliant Kuldeep Yadav. Very disappointing. And watching alongside Steve Harmison, and we'll be chatting to David Bumble Lloyd, who was also a little dismayed at what has been a disheartening tour. Finishing on a very low note, Steve Harmison.
Yeah, finishing on a very, very no note, a whimper really. I think there was a lot of positivity when Brendan McCullum was named. When Brendan McCullum was named the white ball coach, there was a lot of anticipation of a little bit of a change from England's white ball mentality, I think, because it was a little bit doom and gloom after the World Cup, or during the World Cup, then after the World Cup. Few players had retired. There was a lot of big decisions made between Brendan McCullum and Rob Key coming into this series, thinking of 3 or 4 players who spent a lot of time in England's white ball side, 2 left arm options in Reece Topley and Sam Curran and Will Jacks, an off-spinning all-rounder. They were jettisoned, moved aside, more multi-format players, i.e. players who have played red ball cricket for Brendan McCullum. And I'm not saying that's what's gone wrong. It hasn't gone wrong. I think India are just a far superior team in this part of the world, in their own back garden, and them as a team. I just think England, they've got a plan A, and if plan A doesn't work, plan B is a recycled version of plan A, and if they get to plan C, most of the time, by the time they get to plan C, they're all out. I just think they've been out of their depth. I really do. I just think this team, we want to criticise because we are England and we are passionate about English cricket going forward. I just think we might have to take a step back and go, we're not quite good enough. Well,
Bumble, you're very good at seeing the positives and putting a smile on our faces. I have to say that Tom Banton was pleasing in his first game for England in almost 5 years. Only been in the country a little less than 48 hours. Didn't have a net, didn't have a hit, and made 38 convincing runs from 41 balls. But otherwise, very little apart from Adil Rashid. We know how good he is. Took 4 wickets to contain India, who I have to say were on course for 400. For much of the time in the middle overs, but Rashid took a couple of wickets at the end, 4 for 64 to keep them down to what turned out to be far from manageable 356. Bumble, you sounding a wee bit downbeat towards the end there, and with good reason.
Better, and they play better, and it's a super game, and you shake hands and look them in the eye and say, well played. That's not the case in this game. England have been absolutely marmalised by India and its method. I think you can go into a Champions Trophy, which is what the build-up is in this series, to the Champions Trophy, and reset. You've got to reset. You'll have heard me throughout commentary, there is a formula for this game, and every country with success will use the same formula. Build partnerships, knock the ball around, be busy at the crease, rotate the strike, keep partnerships intact, see where you are at 30 overs, with wickets intact, and double the score. England lost 7 again in that 30 overs. So if that's the way that we play, and listening to Steve and saying plan A, if that's plan A, it doesn't work. It's as simple as that. So they need a complete reset as to how to play 50 over cricket.
Yeah, Bumble, and I think when I talk about Plan B, which is recycle part of Plan A. I mean, where does that come from? Does that, you put your coach's hat on? You've had many hats on in the game. Where does that come from? Because I mean, Brendan McCullum in the dressing room is not. He doesn't strike me as a coach that's going to sit down, go through the whiteboard, go through technical aspects of the game, go through video footage, go through analysis. You know, he doesn't strike me as that sort of coach. So where does this come from? Because I'm quite concerned about these next 2 or 3 weeks when it comes to England. We don't know what's coming with the Champions Trophy because they're not going to be playing India in India. They're going to be playing different sides from around the world on probably flatter wickets in Pakistan. But the message has got to come from the coach. And Brendan McCullum doesn't strike me as somebody who will want to change that method.
Experience, Paul Collingwood, who at 2020 cricket has captained the side and won a World Cup. I think that the coaching staff as a whole can sit down and say, well, let's reset, let's see how we do play, or anybody plays 50 over cricket. It's not rocket science, it isn't. It's not 2020 cricket. You can't play that gung-ho 20 overs. I can quite understand that in 120 overs that we're going to go from 1 to 11 and blaze it away and get 160, 180. This is 50 overs. It's a long time. And there's a formula to it. There always has been. Keep your wickets intact, see where you are. It used to be, see where you are at 40 overs and then go big in the last 10. Now it seems to be 30 overs, double the score. You look at India in this game, 356 after 30 overs. They've been busy, knocked the ball around. I think they were 170, 180, 30 overs for two. So they've got 8 wickets for 20 overs to kick on and blaze away. That's the formula. Because if you're on a good pitch, if you're on a super pitch, that's where you're going to go. After 30 overs, they were 198 for 2, India. So they're on for 400. So England then took wickets, and so that brings it down, reduces it to 350 odd.
And to go on to that, Bumble, bring Manners in on that. There was a quiet period as well. I mean, there was a period of about 5 or 6 overs where Mark Wood and Adil Rashid brought England back into the game. They were going well. And a good side, like what you're saying, Bumble, is they reevaluate where they are and then they go again. And I think during that time, Manners, when England were putting India under pressure, you were thinking, right, just a couple of wickets here, and all of a sudden England might be in the game of keeping them down to 320, because we were sitting thinking 400 at one point. And that's the frustrating thing about the way England have batted. I don't think England have bowled too badly on this trip so far. I just don't think the batters have used their brains enough when things have been very, very difficult, when the sort of pressure's been on.
Yeah. There's definitely a formula to it. And England will look, I'm sort of looking back quite reflective and think, well, the attack is weak. We were a bowler light in this particular game. It was too much to ask for Livingston and Root to share 10 overs. Mark Wood, who's the gun bowler, only bowled 9, so there's a mistake there. He should have bowled 10. But it's a samey attack, and you look at India's attack, and there's variation. There's a left-arm over-opening bowler, there's wrist spin, there's a really good left-arm spinner in Axar Patel with Jadeja not playing, same sort of bowler, round the wicket, drive the ball in on a really good angle, so they've got variations. England haven't got that variation. And of course, England's best bowler is Adil Rashid, and he's an absolute gem, 4 for 60 odd today. And Mark Wood with the express pace, and of course Jofra Archer doesn't play, so you can improve the team. So I would look at method and look at variation.
We'll hear from both camps, and we'll also talk about England's approach to the tour, particularly in between matches. But first of all, let's hear from Shreyas Iyer, who made a brilliant 78 from 64 balls.
Absolutely, the break I got in between where I was working with the domestic team, and also I got some time to work on my technique as well. And especially the drop-in shots, which got me singles. It's not the pull and the cuts all the time. It's the balls which you play close to the body, and you get singles of the tough balls as well. So that was more satisfying to me.
And the team as well. It's not just about you. It seems like everyone's amongst runs now. Everyone's performing. Whether it's Rohit, whether it's Shubman, yourself, Gale, everyone, Virat as well. So that must be a really, really good environment in that dressing room.
Yes, absolutely. The dressing room is electrifying with a lot of energy, and I personally feel that each and every individual in the team is in great form, and I think it's a great boost for us to win this series and carry forward the momentum from here on to the Champions Trophy. And yeah, you could see it in all the 3 games, the way each and every individual stood up for the team, not individual performances, because everyone is looking marvelous, but at the same time, getting those crucial runs and crucial wickets at the right time was much important.
Sunil here, I think it's not just the batting and the bowling, your fielding was outstanding. That run out in that first game, you know, where you had that flat throw straight on top of the stumps, and that started the slide for England. So I think overall as a fielding unit, you've been excellent. All of you have been absolutely tremendous.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. I think we've worked a lot on that, and as a team, as a unit, we are trying to deliver and create that sort of breakthrough which team needs in imperative time, and that came in pretty well, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Hopefully I'll get the best fielder award this series.
Right, all set for Champions Trophy now?
Let's see as it comes. Today I'm just going to focus on the victory and the celebrations in the team.
And it's not an easy one to get into. There are everybody. I mean, it's Jasprit Bumrah is one of the few, when he's fit and in the team, whose place is not under challenge. But there is literally a challenger for every spot in the team. Rishabh Pant can't get in the team. You know, one of the best keeper batsmen in the world. I wonder how many teams around the other countries wouldn't have Rishabh Pant in their side. Bumble, let's talk then, as I mentioned, about England's approach. India have trained on every day they could. England haven't, and I don't necessarily want to make a big issue of it, but we have to talk about it because other people are making a big issue about it, and the fact that England only had, no official practices during the ODI series. Only Joe Root had a net with the batting coach Marcus Trescothick. Their feeling is that one-off net sessions between games isn't going to help, but it has attracted a great deal of interest, shall we call it.
They decide it's the method of play, and just listening to that interview there, a guy scores 112 and he's a powerful player and finds the boundary. What pleased him most, knocking the ball, playing it softly, getting a single, rotating the strike. It's not rocket science. That is the way to play 50 over cricket. You'd be busy at the crease, fitness comes into it, mental capacity, knocking the ball around, changing the strike, rotate the strike, find the boundary, they'll come naturally, and you get your big score. It's important, it's imperative. You keep wickets intact till there's that signal, whether it's 30, 35 or 40 overs, right, now we kick on. But you need wickets. England are, off this game, in my view, England are always looking for the big shot, for the maximum. There's more to it than that. Knock the ball around, be busy.
Work hard. Yeah, exactly. But is that not something that... I know it's a mental thing, of course it is, but it strikes me, Bumble, that if a team doesn't practice, perhaps they don't know how to practice or what to practice. Or, I mean, they've had travel day after each game, and then a day before, and even if it's an hour's middle practice, batting in partnerships and pushing the ball into gaps and defending it into spaces, as Harmy was saying, as good players don't use up dot balls. They work hard. They defend when they have to defend. They try to defend it into gaps and run hard. Can you not just spend an hour doing that, maybe?
been like, because they've got plenty of coaches over there. I would assume that they would sit down in meetings and they'll have a whiteboard and they will discuss how we're going to approach different bowlers, particularly a wrist spinner. How are we going to play him? Can we play him from the hand? Are we going to be busy? How many do we want him to go for 10 overs? We can't have him going for 30. How are we going to get to 50 or 60? And so I'd expect that to be a sit-down meeting. Now, as I said, I'm quite relaxed if they've decided as a management team that we're actually not going to practice because we don't think mentally it's going to do the team any good. We can debate it, whether it's right or wrong. That's what they've decided. But the method of play has got to be 10 times better than what we're seeing at the minute, because they're losing. That method doesn't work.
Okay, we'll have a final match wrap and tour wrap in just a moment. But, Bumble, let's hear now from England captain Jos Buttler, who's speaking once again to our producer Scott Taylor.
Ultimately disappointing, results haven't been there. Obviously we've been thoroughly outplayed by India throughout the whole tour in the T20s and the ODIs, but I think we're on the right track in the way that we would want to play our cricket in the style and the fashion that we want to do. We just, similar things from me, just we have to be better at it.
What have you seen over the last 3 ODIs which makes you think you are on the right track to getting better and peaking at the Champions Trophy?
Yeah, I think there's been some moments where we've been good. The opening partnership's been really good from Duckett and Salt. Again today they put India under pressure, and again a sort of similar story. Can we just keep doing it for longer? And I think, like I say, watch Shubman Gill go on and get 100. That's what we need our individuals to be wanting to do as well.
Firstly, you spoke about Ben Duckett and Phil Salt there. How is Ben? You looked to be struggling there with like a groin or a hamstring. How is he?
He looks a little bit sore, doesn't he? I think he was struggling a little bit. I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out over the next day or so how he's doing.
And because one of the positives on this tour has been that opening partnership, so how big a blow would it be to lose Ben Duckett ahead of the Champions Trophy if it is serious?
Yeah, they've been really gelling nicely as a partnership and complementing each other really well, so hopefully it's not too bad.
Just a word on Mark Wood. He took the new ball today. How much has that given you food for thought ahead of the Champions Trophy, as I say?
Yeah, I think he's obviously can bowl really fast, but he's got good skills as well, and obviously can swing the ball, and he looked really threatening today with the new ball. Obviously the wicket of Rohit Sharma as well, so and he's always a wholehearted performer, so really pleased with the way he bowled today.
And there's a lot of stats in the game, but one of the more crazier ones is that Adil Rashid's only played 3 games in the IPL. Just how good was he again today? And you've spoken in the past about him being your most important player, and I guess he showed that with the ball today.
Yeah, he's a brilliant bowler. He's certainly valued very highly amongst our dressing room, and really pleased with the way he's bowling. He's really enjoying his bowling, and getting better and better, I think. So he's got so many ways of styles of leg spin bowling, and 4 wickets today was crucial for us.
Just looking back at the last couple of weeks as a whole, you didn't take the gloves for this series. What have you learned as a captain, maybe, that you can take forward going to the Champions Trophy and beyond?
Yeah, I think I've enjoyed it. It's been good. It's freed me up to be next to the bowlers and thinking more about tactical things that just maybe a little bit more energy and thought into that, as opposed to obviously the added responsibility of keeping wicket as well. So yeah, it's been good, but ultimately we need to find ways to win games of cricket.
And what do you think your side have learned on a whole over the last 2 or 3 weeks?
I think just the style and stuff that we want to play and is going to give us the best chance of the results. As I said, we have to find ways to do it for better, do it for longer. Like I say, individually and collectively, sort of making sure we learn how we can do that.
And ultimately, you've got a new coach under Brendan McCullum. What's it been like working with Baz over the last couple of weeks as well?
Yeah, it's been great. Even though we've obviously not had any results in this series, he's been great at keeping the dressing room on task and creating a good environment and all those kind of things. So, yes, obviously I've enjoyed working with him.
And how difficult is it to find that balance of you've got a defined way of playing and you want to entertain, but also you want to pick up results at the same time? So how hard has it been to stick to the process, albeit when you've been not picking up results?
Yeah, well, I think ultimately the way that we're talking about that we want to play is going to be the way that's going to give us the chance to get results. So, it's about executing that and doing that well, as opposed to sort of questioning, are we doing the right thing? Because I think you can see by the team we're up against, they're a fantastic side, and they're showing the way that, that way of playing and how to win games of cricket like that. So that's what we need to be doing.
Just finally, it seems to be the walking wounded there. There seems to be a lot of injuries. So how pleased are you with the adversity your side have shown? Because you've had a lot thrown at you over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we have. It's always a tough tour. There's like I said, top team and fantastic in their own conditions. So it's always a tough tour. A few of the guys are physically a little, like you say, a little bit walking wounded, but got a few days now to refresh and sort of rest up and get ready for the Champions Trophy.
Just finally, what has made you confident over the last couple of weeks and what you've seen that you can compete and go far in the Champions Trophy?
Yeah, I think we've threatened and we've showed glimpses, and I think that's probably what gives you the hope that once we start to do it for longer, be more consistent, we've sort of scratching the surface of how good we can be as a team. We're nowhere near our potential yet, and if we can get close to that, I know we'll be a dangerous team.
Good luck in Pakistan.
Thank you.
England captain Jos Buttler. We have to remember that tournament play is very different to bilateral play, and it's hard once you fall behind against a brilliant team in their own conditions to get back into a position where you can fight and compete. England's first game in the Champions Trophy is against Australia, who will be without Josh Hazlewood and Pat Cummins and Mitchell Starc. They could well be beaten. I'm not sure if you're still with us, Bumble, but your thoughts there. It's a tough job, isn't it, on a tour like this for Jos Buttler to keep being positive, keep keeping a smile on his face.
Got to try and put a positive slant on things, and I'd always listen intently to an interview. There's one thing he said there, and he paid respect to India and saying they're a crack outfit. They showed us how to play. They showed us the method. But he also quickly went back to, we've got a system how we want to play. We're not far from it. Well, they're a million miles away from it. The starts are okay. I mean, Duckett 34, Salt 23, going back to the previous game. Salt 43, Duckett 32. Yeah, it starts. But the way forward, the way that pays the rent, is that one of the top 5 or 6 has to score a century and the rest play around it. That's the way it is. It's the way it is around the world from every team. And this team, India, have got that quality to do it. So England need to look at that and learn from it and accept responsibility as a batting unit that one of the top 4 or 5, once you've got in, you don't get out. And I'm just looking again today, 34, 23, 38, 24, 19, job done. No big score.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And whenever this team gets beat, there's a lot of things thrown at them. Their attitude, lack of training, playing golf, all that stuff. And for me, that's all nonsense. It's all nonsense about what you do on the field. And Jos Buttler is saying there, the style, how we want to play. You've got to earn the right to have that style. And I don't think England have earned the right in these 3 games that I've seen on the ground. And it comes back to what Bumble's saying about method. You have to have a method on when you are on your A game and you're bossing the game and you've got the team by the throat, and all of a sudden you've got to have not your A game, which is when the opposition are on top, is how you come back from that, how you combat that, how you reevaluate where you are in the innings, and then you go again. What England have done in 3 games in a row now, and why I think England have been completely out of their depth in this part of the world against this side, is that when they've gone hard and just been blown out. It's like a tyre being blown out. And that, for me, is a massive, massive concern, because I worry where the change comes from, where the message comes from, and how you get to where Bumble's saying the method, where's that coming from? Because I've just listened to a captain there talk. I wouldn't say I've just heard somebody who possibly has won 3-0, but he was quite positive and upbeat about things his team have done right. In 3.5 minutes there, listening to Jos Buttler talking about things he's done right, he's lost the series 3-0 when never really been in it.
Bumble, just before you go, as I said, tournament cricket is very difficult, very different to bilateral cricket. England play Australia, South Africa and Afghanistan. They'll probably have to win 2 of those and win them quite well to reach the semi-finals and then the saying goes, anything can happen in a one-off match. But can you see anybody preventing India from winning the Champions Trophy?
They'll be the red-hot favourites, and I think Afghanistan will be roundabout. Nobody will talk about them. So many teams have got injuries. From England's viewpoint, I will come back to that optimism, Neil, that you talked about right at the beginning. Change the method. Change the way that you play. Again, from what I've seen today, England are looking for the big shot, looking for the big six. It's not a T10 match. It's 50 overs, and you've got to play accordingly to that 50 overs. And I'm looking again at the scorecard at India, and the three of the top four, 52, 112, 78. They're going to boss the game. And it used to be, back in the day, get 250, you win the game. That's moved. It's 350. You need to get to 350. You'll do that by keeping wickets intact. It's a simple game.
And as you keep saying, 50 overs is a long time, and I think that modern cricketers who don't...
That's 100 deliveries. This is 300. 300. 50 over game. Play accordingly.
Yeah, the play accordingly bit. I'm not 100% convinced when what Bumble's saying about the style and the method and everything like that. Listening to Jos Buttler, they've got one way of playing, and they ain't changing it. They're not changing their method at all, which is slightly concerning, because if you go back to the top England white ball team that blew everybody away, Roy and Bairstow at the top, they didn't give it away at the top for 34, 35. They went on and got hundreds. They didn't. Root's there. We're missing middleman, and that man in the middle is huge for us. I think the Ben Stokes mentality, I think Ben Stokes' mentality is the one. He is the man who does change his method accordingly to the way they're playing in any given situation. I'm talking about the good England white ball team of the last sort of 5 or 6 years before that 2023 World Cup. Their top 1-2, they went on. When they got to 40, they got hundreds. Blew teams away. Even when Alex Hales was in there. We are getting far too many 30s, far too many 20s. And in this part of the world, where a lot of world events are going to be, whether it's 20 or 50 over competitions, the minute you lose one wicket against top quality spin, you lose 2, 3 and 4, like they have done in these 3-match series, by playing that expansive, wanting to hit everything out the ground method. I don't see this team changing their method at all. And that's why probably England will win a game by 150 runs by getting nearly 400, but probably losing more often than not by 150 runs and getting bowled out for 200, 220.
And the method is there for all to see, whether you're in the game professionally or you're a supporter of the game. The method is there for all to see. But the other thing is that the teams that England will come up against, they're clever. They've got good thought, they've got good leadership, they've got good bowlers. They're probably thinking they'll get themselves out. They will just get themselves out. If you put a defensive field back, they'll smack it up in the air, which we've seen again today. A couple of dismissals that were earned, but a number, they were shocking dismissals. Chasing a 350, and we got out of jail ever so slightly because it should have been 420, taking wickets with the excellent Rashid and Mark Wood. And again, we've not said too much that Mark Wood bowled 9 overs. Should bowl 10. He's got to bowl 10 overs. He's your kingpin bowler. He only bowled 10. So only bowled 9. So there's a mistake there. I know it's a long playing, broken record. Method will win the Champions Trophy. We've seen method from India. It wins.
Bumble, stick around and have a listen to Indian captain Rohit Sharma, who was speaking to television after the game.
Side like England, when you think of the Champions Trophy, what are the things which you as a captain want that improvement? I know you will say that you want to improve everywhere, but some of the marginal improvements where you want to tighten up.
I don't see there was anything wrong that we did in this series. There are some areas, but I'm not going to sit here and discuss about it, stand here and discuss about it. There are obviously regular chats that happens within the group. And the players are quite comfortable having those chats. It's only to make sure that we as a team is moving forward. It's not about individual. This is not an individual sport. It is about the team, and whatever it takes for us to move forward. All 11 of us, including the guys who are outside as well, wanting to do different things at different times. Those are the things that we regularly talk with the players, and then it's up to the players to accept that and go out there and just keep delivering. And we are there. It's our job to make sure that there is some consistency as well within the squad. We try and keep things very clear. Those are the things we can try and do. But in terms of the skills, I think a near perfect skills throughout the series. There's nothing that I can sit here and discuss. Obviously, I'll again say that because that is where a good team or a champion team looks forward to, of getting better every game, and we want to improve in every aspect of that. So I would look at that and move forward from there.
357 is what you achieved in the end, and it felt as if possibly there could be a bit more. Was that something which you felt, or were you happy with the score you got?
Very happy at the end. Look, when you start an innings, there is nothing particular target that we discuss about. We want to have that intent. We want to keep playing the shots that each guys can do, play. But again, having said that, there is a little bit of freedom that we want to have in the squad. To go out there and play the way we are supposed to play. A year and a half back, the World Cup was a perfect example of that. So we want to continue to do that. We want to continue to build on that. Obviously, we have not played a lot of ODI cricket after that, but again, what we did there is something that we want to continue to do again and again. There will be times where things will not fall into place, but that's okay.
Rohit Sharma, victorious captain, with a century and a dramatic return to form. Bumble, it's been an absolute joy and a pleasure. Final thoughts from you? You enjoy a good interview. What do you think of Rohit?
To them winning, it becomes a habit, and you move into a big tournament like the Champions Trophy and you feel good. There's a confidence in the team, and it's really important, very, very important. There's a confidence with the supporters and spectators. And so from England, just think back to Jos Buttler's interview before it all started. We're looking to work with McCullum and get a smile back. There's nothing to smile about. But they can change it. They've got to come back to playing the formula that is what 50-over cricket is about. And there's no getting away from it. It is a formula. That's why a lot of people think it's quite boring. 50-over cricket is quite boring compared to 2020 and T10. There's a formula, and India have got it, how to win matches.
Thanks, Bumble. Brilliant to hear from you. Great to chat. Travel well, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. The one and only David Bumble Lloyd. A vital part of the commentary team and a superb member of the tour, Chetan Narula. Thoughts from you, Chets? You like Bumble, always he manages to see the positive. You always find something India can improve on. No, seriously, it's been a very polished performance.
Yes, absolutely. I think they had a lot of to-do check boxes in this series, coming into this series. I mean, India haven't played a lot of ODI cricket in 2024. They played 3 ODIs in Sri Lanka, lost that series 2-0. Coach Gautam Gambhir was under some pressure after having lost in Australia, having lost 3-0 to New Zealand at home. These are big events, ICC events, Champions Trophy. There's a tour to England coming up. There's a tour of South Africa coming up later this year. There's the T20 World Cup at home next year. Then, of course, you're building towards the 27 ODI World Cup. The preparation starts here. Yes, maybe Rohit Sharma will be around, won't be around. Virat Kohli will be around, won't be around. We don't know about Jasprit Bumrah again, Mohammad Shami. But there's a fresh crop of young players who are going to be building towards those two events. So Gautam Gambhir was under some pressure. Then there were other things to do. I mean, Rohit Sharma's form, Virat Kohli's form. What do you do about the top order? What do you do about the spinners? Shami, he was coming off a long layoff from the game thanks to injury. So he's built up his pace, his rhythm. And then you have Harshit Rana, who made a debut. Varun Chakravarti, who moved on from T20s towards ODIs. So India had a long list of things to do, and I think they have checked every box. I personally think they have one too many spinners for the Champions Trophy. Maybe an extra pacer would help there, especially now that Jasprit Bumrah has been ruled out. But again, I think these are things that are dependent on the thinking of the team management, the captain, the coach. They definitely like Harshit Rana. They like their formula of 3 pacers and 3 spinners. And I would have liked to see Rishabh Pant get a hit, but again, you don't get everything. So I think India have checked most of their boxes. I do agree with Bumble and Harmy that India will be near favourites to start the Champions Trophy, but I don't want to jinx them. I'll just say that they will be in the semis along with New Zealand and probably South Africa along with one of Afghanistan, Australia and England. I think that group is very open.
They're not near favourites, they're runaway favourites.
I don't want to jinx them.
Harmy, the last word to you before we end this following on.
Yeah, I mean, just to echo, you've listened to a man like Bumble who's transcended the sort of the eras of. He talked about earlier at lunchtime, talking about the sort of playing in the boycott era in the 70s and coaching in the 90s, umpiring, commentating for 25 years. It's not rocket science, is it? Really? It's not. 50 over cricket is not rocket science. You earn the right to perform. You do the simple things for long enough to give yourself the best chance. And for me, if you do it that way, you've got a chance of winning. If you do it the opposite way and you don't earn the right and you go in crash bang wallop with no real method or plan B, like England have done here, you end up getting beat 3-0. It's been a great series. India, agreed, they are 100% favourite. You look at their bench strength. They've probably got 4 players who are not going to play in the first game of the Champions Trophy, which will get in any other of the 7 teams. That's why India, for me, are favourites. But, like every tournament, you can only get to the semi-final and one bit of brilliance. And there's a man sitting on my screen at this moment in time, Jos Buttler, who's doing the media. If England can manage to get themselves to the semi-final, they've got match winners. But I think them semi-finals are a long, long way away for England.
We do hope you've enjoyed our coverage here on talkSPORT, talkSPORT 2 and the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. It's been a great pleasure bringing it to you. Harmy and I have loved our time back in India, along with Chetan, Narula. From all of us, from John Norman and Jared Kimber and David Bumble, Lloyd and everyone else who's been part of the team, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching the pods and listening to the commentary.